All right, third out. So today, we're going to wrap up chapter 21, okay? And we've been talking about all of this expansion of new inventions and factories growing. Now, this is the electric-powered factory. So originally, the first factories, you had, you could go back to using water wheels and windmills, and then you go to steam, right? And then you go to coal-powered factory. Now you have the electric-powered factory. And so by the millions, radio, refrigerators, planes, automobiles, all being produced. Now, this is a name you might remember from last year, Frederick W. Taylor. This is the guy that found a better way to shovel coal, a more efficient way to run a factory. Okay, the more efficient you are, the larger your what is? Money. Your profit, yeah. And so you want to create an efficient situation. The assembly line, and especially at Ford Motor, and I'll show you actually a picture of that. Okay, this is Frederick W. Taylor, Principles of Scientific Management. Okay, and then this is the Ford assembly line here, and they basically have the chassis on the line, and as the chassis comes along, you add the tires, the handles, the door handles, you add all the things, okay? And as you can see from this slide here, in 1914, the time to assemble a Model T was 14 hours. Well, they were able to shrink that to 93 minutes to build a car, which is pretty amazing. So that by 1925, one car was rolling off the assembly line every 10 seconds. Okay. At one point, Ford shut down his plant to build the Model A. Okay, he had the Model T, and then he's going to retool. So 6 months they retooled the whole plant. It's a big gamble because he's not making any cars for 6 months. And then they come up with the Model A, and it was a big hit. And so, of course, Ford made millions, and Ford is still in business today. Henry here has passed on. Okay? But, so you have all these new products being made by the millions. There's another industry that is going to see a huge spike to sell all those items. So you want to sell all these items, you need to advertise. So the advertising business in the 1920s is going to boom. Okay? We good on this one right here? Good? All right, so selling the products. Advertising. Newspapers, magazines, billboards, direct mail, and radio. Now radio, okay? You guys have grown up in an age of unprecedented amount of advertising, especially when you get to the internet. Now, TV commercials, those are a pain in the neck. That's why I think a lot of people really enjoy things like streaming video, like Netflix and so forth. You don't have any ads. But the internet has gotten very savvy with this, right? I mean, as far as if you Google search something, the next thing you know, when you open YouTube, you're getting ads for that stuff you were looking for. Does that happen to you guys? Mm-hmm. They're following us.
Yeah. Or if you talk about it.
They're listening to us. They're following us. They're watching us. Okay. You guys know how Dillon's has these, the club. Now you're a member of Dillon's and you use your card.
Plus card.
Yeah, your plus card. Okay. They track what you're buying. Okay, and they can sell that information to people that want to know what consumers want. Okay, send you coupons and so forth, so you'll continue to buy those goods. All right, it's a little disheartening, but I don't know if it bothers you guys at all. Does that bother you that they're following you?
It's just the way it is. Creepy.
Yeah, just get used to it. I mean, it's not going to go away, so.
Just gotta live with it.
Okay, so you can see just how much growth here. It was $1 billion business after the war. I mean, this grows to $3 billion by 1929. And if you look at advertising, a lot of times, especially like with television commercials, they're trying to sell you a product, right? But they're also trying to sell you something else to get you to buy that product. And usually that's comfort, health, beauty, status. So you go from like mouthwash, commercials that want you to think that everybody has bad breath. They make you paranoid that you have bad breath, so you'll buy mouthwash. Or Mercedes, that, it's kind of a status symbol, and they're trying to sell that, okay? The other thing I don't have up here is sex, and they say sex sells. So you add that into, they're trying to sell you something along with this product to get you to want to buy it, okay? And that's pretty smart advertising, okay? Now this is huge. The American way. Buy now, pay later. Buying on credit, okay? And we love to do this in America. We use credit cards. We do things on, on credit. And we borrow money to buy our cars, we borrow money to buy our houses, and so forth, okay? And so, really, credit cards are what allow us to do this today. Back then, the credit cards weren't really introduced yet, so you would have store credit. So, you say, hey, I'm going to buy some groceries, you've got credit, you can pay later, okay? Or you want to buy a piece of furniture, $10 down, $10 a month. You see that's how they typically did it, okay? So keeping pace. You see $1 billion we owed on automobiles by 1928. This is how people could afford it, Put a little down, pay a little each month, okay? Now, this is the thing that's taking us into the Depression, all right? We looked at the Roaring '20s and how much the economy grew, how much it changed, and so forth. Wages rose 26%, and I don't think they can see that very well with the light off. So I'm gonna. Sorry. I think it's better to see on here this way. I don't think they can see either way. You'll have to print out the notes. Okay. All right. Or at least look them up. Okay. Wages rose 26%. Between 1918 and 1920. That's great, right? Wages going up that much, okay? Productivity rose 40%. Which means we were producing more goods than the consumers had to buy. The consumers had to earn wages, right? And we go out to buy the products, but so many products are being produced, we didn't have enough money to buy all the products being produced. Okay, so check that. What happens to your inventory when it's not being bought? It just sits there. Your inventory just sits there. So back at the factory, you let them know we don't need a new shipment of goods because they're not sold. So there's a slowdown at the factory. All right? Now follow this. What happens to the workers at the factory? Well, some people are going to get laid off, right? They're not just going to have people there doing nothing. They're going to get laid off or they're going to cut wages, which means there's more people that have less money to buy the products that are being produced. Are you following me? So we have overproduction, wages not keeping pace. This is a major cause for the Depression. And we started to see signs of this as early as 1927, where there was so much being produced and it wasn't being sold. Things were getting backed up, okay? And that's going to have repercussions, and this will be one of the major causes of the Depression, is that wages weren't keeping pace with production, okay? So to this point, guys, I have covered 3 major causes of the Great Depression. Tariffs, war debts, and this. Production outpacing wages, okay? On your first test, there'll be a question on causes of the Great Depression, but we're still a ways away from that, okay? We are going to, this is pretty much the last slide for that section. So I will, when everybody returns, we will start with a lesson on the stock market on Tuesday, okay? And I will explain to you how the stock market works. I'm going to give you some good practical investing advice, okay, and teach you just how an economy that had been growing so well can almost come to a halt in a very short period of time. Okay, and so that lesson is reserved for next week. Have a safe trip. Signing out.